Hello, this is Evan McKenzie. I'm the advisor to the Prelaw Society, and I first want to apologize for missing the live meeting at which I was supposed to present this slide presentation. Unfortunately, I had a family situation that I had to attend to, and I just was not able to be there at 6 p.m. So I recorded this, which is the same presentation, and I hope you enjoy it, and you're free to contact me about it, at your convenience if you have questions or comments. So, step number one about the road to law school, in my opinion, is controlling your own anxiety. At every step of the way, there are things to worry about, such as, um, not doing well in the LSAT, not doing well on your law school exams, not doing well on the bar exam, etc. And people always worry about that. One of the best ways to avoid that anxiety, that performance anxiety, is to just rely on good sources of information. Here at UIC, you have a very knowledgeable pre-law advisor, Bradley Mueller. You have knowledgeable faculty members. You have the Law School Admission Council, which is an excellent source of information. You have the Law School Forum you can attend, and other good sources of information. But really, just disregard advice from your peers who don't know any more than you do, even though they may pretend to. Casual acquaintances, people you met, relatives, people giving you unsolicited advice, and above all, people who tell you what they, quote, heard. Just really try to avoid it. It's just a source of endless anxiety, and I would follow that advice all the way through the practice of law. Just avoid it. You're surrounded by opinionated people. You don't need to listen to all of them. The Law School Admission Council, I just want to give them a plug. Their website is a tremendous source of information. A lot of it, it's just basically free. The website is. It is full of information that you can use to, of course, their services of registration, credential, assembly, and the application process, the way they coordinate that. They do charge for that, but it's not very much. But it's a tremendous source of free information about the LSAT, about law schools. It's got the official U.S. Guide to Law Schools on it. All this. Please go there if you haven't. Check it out. It's a wonderful source of information. Understand that the whole process of applying to law school is extremely centralized, and it's designed to handle, anywhere from 60 to 100,000 people per year applying to take the LSAT and consider applying to law school. So, it is a source of information, and it is a place for your application process where it all gets centralized, makes it easier for you. And yeah, there's a charge for it, but it's well worth it. So if you haven't gone there and searched around that site, please do it. Law school admission is based on the law school admission test and your undergraduate grades, letters of recommendation, and personal statements. Increasingly, where you'll find that law school admissions officers and committees pay a lot of attention these days to personal statements. So, yeah, it's largely quantitative, absolutely, LSAT, undergraduate GPA. Yeah, those things are very important, but never neglect the importance of these letters of recommendation if you can get good ones. And above all, your personal statement. We could do I actually have a whole presentation on personal statements that we could do another time, but they really deserve a lot more attention than some people give them. Show them to your friends, your relatives, your professors, ask for comments, see how people react to them, because it can really help you a lot. I'm going to talk with you a bit about the data in law school applications. Beginning in about fall 2011, a couple of years after the economy crashed, there was a tremendous decline in law school applications that has now begun to reverse itself, and so applications are picking up again. But I want to show you some of the data so you can see how dramatic it is. I've got a number of tables. These bar charts came from the Law School Admission Council directly, from their data source. And you can see that this is applications, total applications, not applicants, applications. And you can see, and this is the last 5 years, so this does not show the decline, which I will show you later. But you can see that applications have been going back up for the last 3 years, and you can expect that to continue. And if you look at the applicants themselves, you can also see something similar. So you see, this is just the last 5. Again, I'll show you more years. But right now, about 63,000 applicants. So on average, each applicant sends anywhere on average, about 6 applications. So you have 63,000 applicants, but then about 6 times that many applications. And as you can see, if you look at percent change from prior year, 2018 it went up 7.4%, 2019 it went up 2.7%, 2020 up 1.5%, probably going to go up again for 2021. Then you see the number of applicants who are admitted, and you'll notice that 44,000 to 42,000, that number doesn't change much. Why? Because there's only that many seats in the first year law school classes in the approximately 200 ABA accredited law schools. So the number of applicants varies, but the number of admits doesn't vary that much because there's only basically 44,000 seats. Now that can go up and down a little bit, but it's not going to go up very much. As you can see, looking at the change, it doesn't change much. This is a longer term, and I'm going to again show you this in a graph form in the next slide, but this is just the quantitative data. Look back to 2004. You see there were 100,000 applicants, and by 2015 it was down to 54,000. And since then it has started going up again. But that was almost, a reduction by almost half of the number of people who wanted to go to law school. Why did that happen? Well, part of it was due to bad publicity. New York Times, Wall Street Journal, a bunch of other newspapers started running stories about lawyers not being able to get jobs, and it terrified people. So they began to think, well, I shouldn't apply to law school. This was, in my opinion, really an exaggerated fear. I think, it's law school can be expensive, but even though it's expensive, lawyers still make a good living, and very few of them truly go without any employment a year after they graduate. Very few. Right now, it's probably about 95% of first year of law school graduates. Well, 95% of them have a full-time job within a year of graduation from law school. So it's really we had a terrible economy. The economy crashed in 2008, and it really hit the legal profession by about there was kind of a delayed effect as businesses closed and legal business went down, and then boom, out law firms started not hiring as many people, and then boom, out came all these terrible stories about supposedly the end of the world, and so people stopped applying. I made this chart because I think it's easier to just look at this in line graph form. So if you, instead of these bar charts, so this goes all the way back to 2000. Now that blue line, that is the number of people who applied to at least one ABA accredited law school. And you can see the blue line goes up as high as 100,000 in 2003, 2004. And then it starts to go down. And then when the economy crashed in 2008, see, it had already just started going up again, and then it plummeted. And now it is, as you can see, it is starting to go back up again. That orange line is the number of people admitted to at least one ABA accredited law school. And again, you don't see as much variation. Now, if you look starting at about 2010, you can see that the number of seats in the first year classes begins to tail off, and then it levels off about 2003, 2004, and is stated about 40, there are about 45,000 seats available. Now, what happened here? When the applicant pool began to drop off precipitously, many law schools feared that they could not drop their standards any lower. They could not simply say, well, we need 300 students, so we'll just take the best 300 we get. They were concerned about bar pass rates and academic performance and their rankings. And so many law schools shrank the size of their entering classes. They simply decided to admit fewer people. And that went on in the early from about 2011 through 2013, 2014, and it is stabilized now. So, some law schools simply said, we're not going to bring in as many people because we can't lower our standards. Other law schools did lower their standards, and a number of them have lost their accreditation as a result because these people, they took people who couldn't hope to pass the bar exam. So that's the big picture. Now, let's look at the medians for, who goes to law school. Average or median GPA is 3.27. The median highest LSAT, because people take it more than once, is 153. The acceptance rate is in the mid-70s. That is about 75% of the people who apply to law school get into at least one ABA accredited law school. The most popular major is political science, but of course, as I think you can major in whatever you want. It just happens that a tremendous number of people who want to go to law school are also interested in politics. That's a very politics and government. There's also a lot of business majors and history majors, etc. You should pick the major that you really enjoy and want to learn about. For some reason, the highest GPAs and highest LSATs really come out of the sciences and things involving structured thinking. And I think this has to do with the nature of the LSAT, that it emphasizes structured thinking, and you get a lot of that in the sciences. So you get high admission rates from the sciences, also classics, where they do a lot of, it's classics and linguistics. What's there? Language, structured thinking, learning the structure of another language. You can major in whatever you want, but I think it's just useful to know this is the way it breaks down. Even though there is still a lot of gender or sex discrimination in the legal profession at the higher levels, there is. But even so, at the entry level now, the majority of law school applicants are women now. And in fact, the entering law school class, if you start law school in the next few years, the majority of your entering students will probably be female, 51, 52%. Some schools it's higher than others. The diversity of law schools is increasing. It has always been an issue. That is, it has been a predominantly white and male profession, but that is changing. And so we find increasing numbers of African American, Latino, Asian applicants. And law schools do make an effort to increase the diversity of their entering classes. It's a serious concern in the legal profession and the legal academy to try to make that happen. When you go to the law school forum, which I hope you do, in Chicago, one of the years, at least once before you apply, you'll see there are recruitment efforts going on at the law school forum to try to bring in more non-white applicants to each of these schools. The schools really do solicit these applications, and they'll talk with you about how to make that happen. These are the LSAT scores. Interesting thing, if you look at the higher end of the LSAT score, which goes from 140 to 180, if you look at the higher end, you can see that over the last 2 years, there was a jump in the number of people who got really high scores. And I'm curious about this. I need to try to find out why that happened. It may be that, every year when they do the LSAT, they take out some of the hardest questions, or the ones that, I shouldn't say the hardest, the ones that large numbers of people get wrong, because they don't want that to happen. They don't want trick questions that are too hard to answer. So I'm wondering if possibly there's been some revision to the LSAT that made it a little easier for people to get higher scores, but I really don't know the answer to that. So to be continued, I'm going to try to find out. LSAT preparation, I don't want to go on enormous length about this, but understand it's an aptitude test. It's not an intelligence test that you can't prepare for. It's not a knowledge test where you have to learn specific things to take it. It's not. It's an aptitude test. You can come from any major and take it. Probably some majors and some types of preparation are better than others. But it takes months to prepare for, not weeks. So it measures 2 aptitudes. I'm breaking it down. There are 3 or 4 different types of questions, but basically it's reading comprehension and structured thinking. Reading quickly, understanding, remembering, getting the point of what you read, and structured thinking, applying rules, logical thinking, analytical thinking, legal reasoning, applying rules to situations. If a student goes 4 years at UIC and you avoid taking any math course, any statistics course, any foreign language courses, avoid science, avoid all the, quote, hard things, meaning the things that required structured thinking, you're going to hurt your LSAT score because you need that preparation because it's on the test, right? And there's only one subject we teach here at UIC It is flat out covered on the LSAT, and that is logic. Introductory logic taught in the philosophy department. Don't miss it. Don't miss that course. You should definitely take that course because you will need to use those skills on the LSAT. Everyone always tells people this, and many people don't do it, but you really should. Now let's take just a little bit of time on what law school is. I want to clue you in very quickly on this, and I'm not going to dwell on it at great length, but what I have to say I think is significant. First, there are 3 years to law school, unless you go part-time, and there are 4, but I'm just going to focus on the 3-year curriculum, which is what almost everyone does. Year 1, the first year of law school, is by far the most important year. Year 1, everything is required courses. They send you your schedule. They tell you this is what you're taking and when you're taking it, who you're taking it with. Year 2 and 3 are basically elective. You can take whatever you want. Year 1 is the critical year. Do not make the mistake that some people make of thinking, well, maybe I'll just get used to things in the first year, but I'll do better years 2 and 3. Too late. Too late. You need to do your best in the first year of law school. That's the one that counts the most. Those are the basic subjects of the common law: civil procedure, constitutional law, contracts, criminal law, criminal procedure, evidence, real property, torts, and legal research and writing. The grading is competitive. They rank you against your class. You take these courses all with the same people, the same 70, 80, 90, 100 people. And why is this so important? Because academic honors, particularly law review, are based entirely on first-year grades. Same thing for moot court, entirely on your first-year grades. And then there are career reasons, because in the second year, at the start of in the fall of year 2, the law firms and government agencies come on campus to conduct interviews for jobs as summer clerks. When do you become a summer clerk? Summer after your second year. What do they base this on? Entirely first-year grades. That's all you have. You take first year, you get your grades, you interview for summer clerkships in the fall of the second year. Then during that summer, after your second year, people become law clerks. They're hoping that they will get an offer from this firm or government agency, and if they do, their third year is a breeze because they have a job all lined up after they graduate. So first year grades, fall of the second year job interviews, summer clerkship after the second year, and then hopefully, boom, you get your job offer. So you spend your third year of law school knowing you've already got a job lined up. And then you take that job after you graduate. Often the employer pays for your bar review course, which is thousands of dollars, and they pay for the bar exam, another couple thousand. So this is a career path that many people want, and so that is why they compete so hard in the first year. Now, if you don't do great in the first year, don't worry about it. There's other paths, but this particular path that I'm talking about is the preferred path to the best jobs. People still get perfectly good jobs who bomb their first year and do better the second and third. There's other paths, but this is the recognized sort of dominant path to go through law school the way I just described. Emphasize first year grades, get on the law review, do your best, excel at that point, get the second year summer clerkship, and then hopefully get a job offer out of it. That's the idea. The first year curriculum, here it is. This is University of Illinois College of Law. This is the first year curriculum. See those courses? Contracts, property, torts, criminal law, constitutional law, civil procedure, legal writing, etc. This is what you take. So, it varies a little bit from one school to another, but these are the main first year courses. And by the way, those courses that I just described, the first year curriculum, that's the core of the bar exam. The bar exam, the first day of the bar exam is called the multi-state bar exam, and it concentrates on those first year subjects. The subsequent day or days of the bar exam are on a wider range of subjects, but the multi-state bar exam is given all across the country. It's an all-day multiple choice test on those basic areas of law. So understand, first year is important. You should never give up even if you don't do well in the first year, but that is the thing to be ready for. I think most significant advice is when you start law school, you need to be ready. Don't start law school before you're ready. If you're not ready to go, defer for another year. Even if you're accepted, even if you've got everything like, just defer. Have a place to live, have your life be stable, have your finances worked out so you can go for 9 months without working. You need to not work during the first year of law school. People try, it's disaster. Don't try to do it. Do not try to do it that first year. Second and third years, sure, people work. But the first year, the first 9 months, don't work. Now, about law school itself, law school has changed. It has always been, since the 1870s, that the case method is the standard approach to law school instruction. You have case books. You read appellate court opinions by topic, followed by questions. Professors using the Socratic method, asking you questions all the time. No right answers. That still goes on a lot. A lot of professors do it that way, but other professors mix in more lecture, more discussion, and other teaching techniques. American legal education this is another whole topic, but it's always being criticized for not preparing people for practice, which is true of many schools, that they don't prepare you to practice. And also for spending too much time on subjects that mainly concern rich people and big corporations. So these are legitimate criticisms. However, many law schools make an effort to prepare people to practice. UIC Law School, formerly John Marshall, certainly does make an effort to teach you to practice and teach you a lot about legal writing and research techniques. But these are important criticisms. Legal education is in flux. It's in a state of change as they try to diversify the faculties and make more use of a broader range of teaching techniques. Law schools are much friendlier, less competitive, cutthroat places than they used to be. And this is all to the good. And it's also a good time to be applying because, as we've just covered, the number of applicants is down. It's going up again, but it's still down. Most people rely on loans packaged with scholarships. You need to look very hard at getting fee waivers for your applications, asking the law school to waive their application fee. You need to look for scholarships. You need to, I think most UIC students, unless money is no object to you, need to think about getting the law schools into bargaining with each other, so to speak. You get an offer from one school, if there's another school you'd like to go to, maybe tell school B what school A offered you, see if you can negotiate the best offer, then go back to school A. You need to try to bargain if you possibly can. Law school has always been expensive, but the cost of legal education has been going up faster than salaries, and so there is a major concern about the cost of legal education and its impacts on people. So a cost for most of us is a factor. So that's all I have to say to you today. There's a lot more that could be said. I hope this is helpful to you, and I wish you the best. You have a wonderful pre-law society, a great group of officers, so I'm sure we'll be talking again sometime soon.